welcome back to the Scotland trip and welcome back to day 2 of the Isle of Skye. If you haven't watched any of the trip yet, I suggest you go back and catch up to this point. But if you have been watching along, then thank you very much. We really do appreciate you watching our videos. But as you know, on the last episode, we visited 2 locations in the Isle of Skye. Firstly, the Old Man of Storr, which is a 2,800 million year old rock structure that stands tall over the Isle of Skye. We then travelled up to Staffin Bay, where we stayed for the night and were on the hunt for 130 million year old dinosaur footprints that were left by a group of megalosaur as they crossed over the beach and left footprints in the mud all that time ago. We then camped there for the night and we were up bright and early for today's episode, where we headed down to the next location, which was the Fairy Glen. So we've just come away from camp over by the Staffin Bay and we've just headed to the next location, which is the Fairy Glen, which is just over those hills there. So we're going to pay for parking, head over there, and then Luke will probably have some facts for you, no doubt. Made it to the Fairy Glen now, and Glen is actually the Gaelic word for valley, so it's Fairy Valley, and it looks all man-made, but it's not. It's actually formed naturally, and it's something to do with the Ice Age, we believe. And there's a stone circle in the middle there, but we're going to walk up that mountain hill thing there to get a better view from the top.
So we've done Fairy Glen now. It's lovely, it's really nice. The stone circle needs to be a little bit bigger, in my opinion. It looks really big online. The mountain range and everything about it, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Especially because it was all natural, so we'll give it that. But then to keep on to the fairy theme, now we're going to go and visit the fairy pools, which are meant to be beautiful, so I look forward to this one.
So we're on the way to the fairy pools. Mia's doing a bit of a mad one. On the way there we found that there's a nice little waterfall, not a far walk from the road. So we decided we'd stop, have a little walk to it because it looks a bit interesting. But it's at the foot of that mountain there, which is quite nostalgic for me because I grew up watching Danny Macaskill, a mountain biker from Scotland, who did an edit about 9 years ago. And that was the mountain that he rode up and rode down, so that's quite interesting for me.
What a voice, what a voice, what a voice I hear. It's like the voice of my but if I had wings like that
just made it to the waterfall here, which is called SLIGACHAN. SLIGACHAN? I think that's right. SGURR Falls, which is just below SGURR ALASDAIR, which I think I'm pronouncing right, which is obviously what I mentioned about the Danny Macaskill edit that he did over the top of the mountain.
Like the voice of my world, but if I had wings like that swallow, I would clasp in the arms.
Just parked up at the Fairy Falls now, and we're taking a short walk down, and it is absolutely gorgeous behind us. There it goes up there. So here we go.
And knew my plan. It is dim night child. He passes me by. Spears and there is a blackbird sits on yon tree.
Just walked over the little stream now, and we're hoping Liam falls in really.
Where did you go?
I ain't telling you. You going that one?
Yeah, Luke went the cool one.
I did go the cool way. Go the boring way if you want. That's a shame, really.
That looks really tempting. It looks super cold as well.
Yeah, it's a bit chilly that.
So we're just having a moment now, sitting here, enjoying the beautiful little waterfall and the type of small lagoon type water there. And we felt how cold it is. It is freezing cold. A lot of wild swimmers come here for exercise and various other things. But I've just looked at a news article from about 3 days ago, and a 22-year-old man lost his life here. I think he either fell in or he's gone in, and yeah, unfortunately he lost his life. So if you are going to come here and you are going to go in, just please be careful, wear appropriate clothing after, because it is really, really cold in there. It looks gorgeous, and even today it's quite warm out. We've only got like jumpers and fleeces on, but it is freezing cold. So just be careful if you are going to come here, especially when you're walking across the rocks and stuff. So.
So we've pretty much seen all the fairy falls now. There's a few wild swimmers in there, but like Luke said, obviously someone died here 3 days ago, so just be mindful if you are going to go in. We're going to head back to the car now and get some sandwiches.
So we've got the sleepy boy in the back now. There he is. Having a little nap from all the driving. So we're just going to leave the Isle of Skye now and we're going to head to Loch Ness. So we've got just over 2 hours of driving to do now, so see you at Loch Ness.
So our little trip in Skye has come to an end. We're just heading back over the Skye Bridge. So we headed out of Skye and we were heading to our next location, which would have been Loch Ness. However, when we arrived here, obviously Loch Ness is behind us there, but we were planning on visiting Urquhart Castle, I think it's called, or Urquhart, I don't know, Urquhart. The price sort of put us off. It's like $14.50 each. I mean, the castle is pretty cool, but I don't think it's worth $14.50 to go and see. But it's down there. So a few facts for you about Loch Ness. Loch Ness is actually the largest body of water in the UK, and you could fit all of England and Wales's water masses into Loch Ness. So it's estimated that Loch Ness contains about 263 billion cubic feet of water, and the water itself is actually pitch black, like completely pitch black. The reason for this is because of all the peat that the rain obviously washes down from the hillsides. It sort of gives you no visibility at all when you go underneath the water in Loch Ness, which is obviously helps and aid into the myth of the Loch Ness Monster, because you wouldn't find anything visibly if you were looking down into the water itself. So that's quite scary if you think about it. So Loch Ness sits on what's known as the Great Fault Line, or the Great Glen, and it was actually carved through the Ice Age about 490 million years ago, with glaciers and all sorts moving around. And a fact about the Loch Ness Monster, the first actual sighting allegedly of the Loch Ness Monster dates back to 565 AD, and the most recent one that's now been proved to be a hoax was in 1939 and was actually done by a toy submarine with a figurehead of a dinosaur strapped to it. So we come to Mackie's in Fort William. Thought we'd treat ourselves after a hard day's graft on the Isle of Skye. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers. All right.
Oh, that was shot as well.